Hello and happy All Hallows Eve. Um, it's funny that this topic is coming on this day, which was not intentional, but life has a way of being synchronistic sometimes. Um, my message today is really about the peace that can come from reclaiming the terrain of our psychosomatic self. Uh, this is especially important right now, right? As so much is transitioning on many levels, in many ways has been for as long as there's been existence on the earth. But there are times when change seems to be happening more rapidly, and sometimes it's unclear whether some of the change is going in a direction that is healthy and evolutionary, or whether it's going in a direction that is unhealthy and devolutionary, one could say. Um, One thing that really has been amazing for me during my entire journey of healing, including back when I was very, very ill, was to see the parallels between the ecology of my own body, my own microbiome, and the Earth's or Gaia's body, the planetary body, the macrobiome. Um, and to recognize that just as there are so many layers and relationships that exist on the planet, there are layers and relationships like that exist inside of myself. And I've come to believe that and to witness that it's not just on the physical or the dense dimension that this happens, but also on the subtler dimensions, and through energetics, through emotions, through thoughts, and even through more refined experiences of conscious awareness. So, a lot of people have heard about the sort of idea of terrain theory versus germ theory, and when it comes to medicine. But I really want to expand upon terrain as something also more than just the physical, more than just something that can be buffed up through regenerative practices and health practices and lifestyle practices and nutrition and sunlight and circadian rhythm and even social connection and uh, oxytocin-inducing experiences, etc. Um, but that also we can inform our terrain through the more subtle dimensions. This is not a new thought in any way, shape, or form, but the way that we can treat our thinking, our emotions, our states, our imagery in our mind, and even the sensations of our body, the temperature, the textures, um, all these things can be worked with in a fluid way in which we are expanding upon and evolving the terrain of our body and our psyche. So our whole sense of the self that is changeable. And one thing that can really help with this is also having some anchor in the idea that we are more than all of these things. I'm not, while I appreciate a lot of the spiritual teachings that talk about transcending these things, um, and I think that work is important as a way of gaining distance and stability and not being thrown around as much by all of these things. I am also very much the of the camp of reclaiming the feminine and the embodied experience as just as important and a key part of the yin yang that is awakening and evolution. So, like Kundalini can't happen outside of the layer of form and the body and existence and life and personality and all that. So the question is, how can we embrace all of these things and have a relationship with them in a way um, that has intentions that are healthy and um, that feels empowering and positive and that takes us to greater states of inner well-being. Um, and so while the journey to that is really unique for each of us, I really just want to share the message here today that that is something that we all have access to. The doorway in might look different for each of us. But there are tools that can help us to arrive there. And we can really, in the same way that one might be a gardener and design their garden or on their land, or an artist and design the painting that one is going to paint, or a musician and the song or the piece of music that one is going to perform. We can do the same thing with our lives and with our experience and relationship to life, uh, through these different channels of our emotions, our thoughts, our sensations, our imagery, our in our mind's eye, and our sensory experience that follows us from moment to moment through our physical senses. And I would add also through our subtle senses, which extend much deeper even than seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. Um, so I'm thinking maybe, you know, for a simple practice for today, before we get into the practice though, I want to say that there are lots of ideologies and practices that are based around, um, protection or setting boundaries or manifestation or creating, um, like who you want to be and projecting it out and trying to become that and all of that. And all of that is really lovely, and there's a time and place and context for all of it. But I just want to introduce the way that reclaiming your somatic terrain, your sense of being in your core and the seat of yourself in your physical vessel in your body, is naturally a practice that enhances all of that without having to get too into the mechanics of it in your mind and too overly controlling or involved, in that way. And so like a basic body scan is one way in. Um, but I suppose the practice that's coming to me in this moment to share, which is very simple, is, you know, once you find yourself first really comfortable in your space, whatever it is that you're doing, maybe taking a pause. If you're listening to this while multitasking, maybe taking a pause from whatever else you're doing, and, you know, notice your body in space, right? Notice the edges of your body where it is seated or standing or lying down. Notice the air on your skin or the texture of the clothes on your body. And first begin noticing where your body and the environment are touching, sort of that horizon line of body and the larger extension. And you might find just some simple pleasure in literally feeling the edge of your body. And I want to introduce this message, which is, this is you. This is your canvas. This is your instrument. This is your blank page. And maybe it's not blank. There's probably a lot already written there, or painted or composed. But just feeling yourself as the composer, as the musician, as the artist, not the one that is simply a reaction of what's going on here, but as one who is really inhabiting this place. And see if you can find anywhere. You might do a really brief scan, and you can go from any direction. You can go from head down, you can go from feet up, you can go from the edges of the body in, or maybe you're drawn to start somewhere in particular. But what you're going to scan for is a place where things feel really at ease and nice. Maybe they feel warm, maybe they feel spacious, maybe they feel soft, maybe there's a pulse of aliveness. But we are scanning for where things feel really good. And if you're someone who has a lot of discomfort in your body, like I had, it might even be something as simple as just the sensation of the skin of your hands rubbing against each other like this. It may be something as simple as what many meditators track, which is the feeling of the coolness of the breath going in through the nostrils and the warmth of it coming out. If you're feeling really yummy in your body, it might be something deeper. Maybe you feel your breath dropping down into your diaphragm or your belly or even your womb space or your root. Maybe the pulse of your heartbeat feels really kind. Whatever it is, just going to take a few moments now in silence to savor this good feeling. We're not going to spend too long, but just enough to take it like a sip of the good feeling. Um, so here we go. And now that you've dropped into it a little bit, bring your attention back out to the awareness of your space, the light in the room, the sounds, whatever else might be present. And if you have a moment to drop it in a comment, maybe let me know. Uh, what do you notice now? What do you notice after taking that moment to drop in and notice something pleasurable in your somatic terrain? What do you notice in your overall experience and state now versus when you started watching this video? I'd love to hear. Wishing you a beautiful All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, Day of the Dead, Halloween. And if you're interested in any one-on-one support for your somatic alchemical transformation, please reach out, enteringstream.com.